Hello, we're trying again. Oh, here we go. I can see the microphone's working now. Finally, good Lord, lovely. So, hello everyone, and welcome to A Speech a Week. My name is Pippa, and this is where we look at Shakespeare and make it fun, make it accessible, and help you figure it all out. It's a bit weird, isn't it? It's an old language, but that doesn't mean it's any less relevant and connectable, relatable, just like Ellen DeGeneres is. So, we're looking at Rosalind today. I have apologies. This is slightly late as well. I had a client before, and I wanted to let them do it again so we could put all the notes into action. And I've got a client straight after this in approximately 45 minutes. So this is going to be a real less chatty version of the A Speech a Week, where we're going to get to it ASAP. So we're looking at the scene where where Phoebe is being hounded by Sylvius. She's just done her lovely "I would not be thy executioner" speech. And Rosalind, Celia, and Corin see all of this. They don't see the other stuff. Remember this. They just see darling Phoebe, who's often undervalued and underestimated by people. If you're one of those people that just thinks Phoebe is a stupid girl, please think on that. She's very clever in all of her arguments, and her honesty in discovering that she actually likes Ganymede is delightful. It's often missed, so please do assess that. Phoebe is having a go. This is Act 3, Scene 5, and Rosalind pipes up and interrupts. So I'm not going to read the whole scene. I was going to read Phoebe again quickly just to lift it off the page, but I will not. She's just said, but till that time come not thou near me, and when that time comes, afflict me with thy mocks, pity me, as till that time I shall not pity thee. Sorry. Oh, I've totally read the same line twice. I can tell it's first thing in the morning, and I've just been reading a different Shakespeare speech. Afflict me with thy mocks, pity me not, as till that time I shall not pity thee. She's harsh, but it's also probably justified. She's being hounded and harassed by this annoying man or boy, right? So now we're gonna, unfortunately, this is quite a long speech, but I'm gonna try my best to get through it quickly for you before my next client, my next acting student. So let's have a go. Rosalind advancing. First of all, notice that stage direction, advancing. She approaches, she advances. Approach and advance are very different things, aren't they? On Phoebe, and says, "And why, I pray you, who might be your mother that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched?" Beautiful, isn't it? I'll start that again because I'm just excited about it. "And who, I pray you, may be your mother..." Let me start again. "And why, I pray you, who might be your mother that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched?" What? "Though you have no beauty, as by my faith I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed, must you be therefore proud and pitiless?" Why? What means this? Why do you look on me? Odds my little life. Oh, I'm absolutely butchering this. Oh, thanks, man. I'm totally in the coaching zone, and I am just breaking this up in my head and thinking about how to give the note on it and translate it already rather than actually just reading it. Let's go one more time from the top. "And why, I pray you, who might be your mother that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched?" What? "Though you have no beauty, as by my faith I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed, must you be therefore proud and pitiless?" Why? What means this? Why do you look on me? "I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work." Odds my little life. I think she means to tangle my eyes too. No, Faith, Proud mistress, hope not after it. 'Tis not your inky brows, your black silk hair, your bugle eyeballs, nor your cheek of cream that can entame my spirits to your worship. You, foolish shepherd, wherefore do you follow her, like foggy south, puffing with wind and rain? You are 1,000 times a properer than she a woman. 'Tis such fools as you that makes the world full of ill-favoured children. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her. And out of you she sees herself more proper than any of her lineaments can show her. But mistress, know yourself. Down on your knees and thank heaven, fasting for a good man's love. For I must tell you, friendly in your ear, sell when you can. You are not for all markets. Cry the man mercy. Love him. Take his offer. Foul is most foul, being foul to be a scoffer. So take her to thee, shepherd. Fare you well. There you go. Totally butchered that, but nonetheless, we lifted it off the page for you. Let's have a real quick playthrough and translation with this. So it's really easy to get nasty with this. I think it's really tricky, this speech. I think that it can get really nasty, and to some extent what she's saying is really nasty, but we have to remember Phoebe's reaction. She isn't doing what she did to Silvius, to Rosalind or Ganymede at this point, is she? She's just really intrigued by him. She doesn't, and I think this is something we think quite often. Phoebe's got a whole speech yet about how she's not sure how she feels about this person. It's not that she loves him. We forget the detail. She doesn't know she loves him yet. There's just something about him. She's really confused by it. And she doesn't know why she even says, and I think it's one of the most telling lines that is often overlooked in Shakespeare, I marvel why I answered not again. I marvel. If you marvel at something, it's wondrous, it's curious, it's intrigued. And she says that later on in the scene, right? So please don't play the end of the scene right now. And Rosalind absolutely assumes something's going on. I think she means to tangle my eyes too. I think she means to hypnotize me as well. Absolutely. But remember, Phoebe isn't quite sure on that. She's not slow on the uptake. Sometimes love comes at you in all sorts of shapes and formats, right? So remember that. I think it's really, really important to remember that when you're playing Rosalind as well, that, I don't know, remember Phoebe's reactions, be really clear on that. You're not just laying into that. And I know Rosalind's learning more about who she is in the forest, right? While she's dressed as Ganymede. So she's absolutely exploring her confidence and this new freedom of speech that she has found. But would she be nasty? I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't quite buy it. Maybe that's just me, but hey, I think there's a lot more to it than that. She says, let me tell you friendly in your ear. She's like, sell when you, like, mate, like, oh, come on. You know, there's going to be another side of this speech, or maybe another tactic she employs where she realizes that Phoebe isn't hearing fully what she's saying. Look, love, take pity on him because you're not that attractive, and I don't really see what he sees in you, but you're not going to do better than this. So please just take it and be happy, okay? I want you to be happy. And maybe that's a useful thing to think of with this speech. Again, that's maybe what I would do if I was playing Rosalind. I just want you to be happy, Phoebe, and okay, and I want him to be all right because you just really butchered him just now, okay? So yeah, bear all of that in mind. Let's go through and translate while we've still got time. I'm just going to tilt my camera this way a little bit so I can hold the complete works up here. Let's translate it then. So advancing, and why I pray you. She's asking him why. Remember what she's asking her, why. Phoebe has just said, come not near me, and when that time comes, afflict me with thy mocks, pity me not, as till that time I shall not pity thee. I will not pity you. And remember, Rosalind repeats this later on. Where is it? What must you therefore be proud and pitiless? That's the main word that sparks this whole thing. I shall not pity thee. And why, I pray you? Why will you not pity him? Again, it's this detail that people lack in their monologues all the time. She's responding to that. Why will you not pity him? Why? I pray you. I pray you. Tell me. Who might be your mother that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched? I love this bit. Who might be your mother? Who are you born from that makes you so important and special? That you insult, exalt, so again, lovely use. You see how I stress that slightly differently every time. Insult, exalt, they're the same sounds there, and it's the same kind of end of word, alt and alt. What's different is the beginning, so stress them more. Insult, exalt, and all at once. It's a lovely bit of writing there. Over the wretched being Silvius. He's a wretched shepherd who is in love with her. Make sure you look up that word wretched. I won't actually do it today because we're running out of time. But make sure you look up insult. Look up what exalt means. Look up what wretched means. Look up what all at once used to mean as well. We don't really do that. We say it now like, oh, I did it all at once. But there's probably an older meaning that means something else, right? And again, it's a question. Ask these questions. Let Phoebe respond. She doesn't. It's out of her nature to do that. So again, if you're playing this in the real scene, give your other actor a chance to act, and then a chance for you to act, reacting to their acting. What? And I kept breaking this up, but you shouldn't. Over the wretched, I kept going, what? Though you have no beauty. There's no comma there. There's no punctuation there. And I think it's because I heard this speech a few times yesterday in auditions. People break it up, and I'm not sure why. Maybe another edition has a comma there, but I'm not sure there should be. What though you have no beauty? I don't know, we'll see. As by my faith, I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. This is a lovely phrase. So over the wretched. What though you have no beauty, as by my faith, I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. What does that bit mean? Tell me what you think it means in the comments. I wanted to look up a word. I'm going to look up one thing because I'm curious now and I haven't looked it up before. Dark. We all know what dark is, right? I think there might be something else I'm missing here. With little or no light, approaching black in shade, the absence of light, a dark color or shade, especially in painting. Oh gosh, here we go. Yes, like the dark days. I think this is what I'm thinking. Tragic, characterized by tragedy, unhappiness, or unpleasantness. The dark days of the war, so of a period or time. Ignorant, unenlightened. They're in the dark. Let's keep them in the dark about it. Yeah, interesting. In the dark, a state of ignorance about something. Interesting how in recent years, the time for that has gone up. The use of that has gone up. I love it. So yes, I just wanted to check that. And I think that's important to remember. As by my faith, so what, though you have no beauty, she says, you have no beauty. She is quite harsh here. Okay, I give you that. She is being a bit mean here. But again, decide more in depth what she's being here. She's probably not just being a bitch for the sake of being a bitch. She cares about Silvius, but also Phoebe is another woman who's being hounded by a man. So, you know, she's probably experienced that before. She might empathize with her slightly. Like I said, she's trying to help her here. She's not just having a rant and telling her she's a dickhead. That would look like a very different monologue. She is giving her advice. She's giving him advice, unsolicited advice, may we add, but advice nonetheless. So bear that in mind. What, though you have no beauty, as by my faith, and again, this is like a little aside, when there's these little moments, it's like not necessarily, I'm going to add a bit more detail in and then go back to the thing I was talking about. It's one of those parentheses kind of vibes. As by my faith I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed, must you therefore be proud? I keep saying that wrong as well. Must you be therefore proud and pitiless? Another thing to remember, it's proud and pitiless. Must you be proud and that as well? Do you have to be both of these things? Interesting. So I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. I think she's saying that I see darkness in you. I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. When you don't have a candle, you go to bed in the darkness, right? And I think because of the time we live in, and this is important, because of the time we live in and body shaming and advertising and marketing, remember that didn't really exist back in those days. And if anything, I know in Shakespeare in Love, Gwyneth Paltrow is like the most beautiful British flower. English rose, should I say British flower, you know what I mean? She's very thin and petite. But remember in these days, famine and food were rarities. If you were plump and curvy, you were wealthy enough to eat all the time. You were a very attractive candidate. You could definitely fight off disease a little bit more. So going to bed dark, I don't think has the connotation it does today. This whole when we have sex, I want to turn the lights off kind of thing because I'm a bit embarrassed. I don't think that really existed. I'm sure women were self-conscious, but I really think, and men were self-conscious, but I really think in those days, there was a hell of a lot less of that. Unless you had like pustules from syphilis or something, or scars and things like that. I think that was the real kind of thing to be weary of, and that would be body shamed. Otherwise, I think all shapes and sizes, obviously things like teeth as well, oral health wasn't as good as it is today. So maybe that was a thing. That was always a thing in courting. Oh, her breath smells sweet. Romeo and Juliet talk about that a lot. Excuse me. So do you see what I'm saying? So I think what she's saying here is that you are just dark, and going to bed dark is not a good thing. Whereas in today's modern society, I think for some people, through being self-conscious, maybe when you turn the lights out, like I said, it has that kind of connotation. I hope that makes sense, but I'm going to move on, otherwise we will run out of time. So yeah, I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. Oh. And again, having candles, it was expensive. If you had candles and you were poor, you would use them very, very sparingly. And I can imagine, in fact, no, we do need to talk about this even more as well. Beds were not like beds we have today. They would have been ragged and, not that comfortable probably. And I can imagine bugs, rats, creatures, things might crawl in there. So you'd need to check your bed before you go to sleep. Hence why having a candle to go to bed in. So again, removing the sexual connotation of going to bed in the dark, let's look at that as well. You need to check it. And if you're that poor and dark, remember dark in those days was black is an insult, as she uses later on. It's not really a good thing to be. It's an insult. So I think that's more of what she's saying, not necessarily the sexual thing, even though she's talking about bed, and we think of bed today as being comfort, sleep, sex, cozy, all of that. In those days, a bed was very different. So it's all these little things you need to think about as an actor or a director or a creative looking into this, to remember the detail of the time. You don't have to set it like that in your mind's eye. In fact, I recommend you don't. But you need to be aware of that so that you can fully understand and embody what your character is saying and speak their truth. That's what we've got to do as actors, right? So I think that's really important. I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. I see in you. And again, that feeling, imagine walking up to your bed in the pitch black. It's not a comfy bed like what you've got today. It's like a little bit of fabric on the floor with a few more layers of fabric and an old hay bale for a pillow. There would be creepy crawlies in there. You'd go to bed a bit like, oh no. And I think that's what this bit means, okay? Really, really important. It's that I see no more in you. When I see you, I get that kind of feeling, right? There we go. Nailed it. Now we understand that. Let's move on. Must you therefore be proud and pitiless? Again, look up proud. In those days, if someone was proud, it's not necessarily a good thing. You can have pride, but having too much pride is a sin. So remember, it's this kind of cocky, and the irony, of course, is that Rosalind is being somewhat proud here, and Phoebe even calls her proud in her latter monologue. Sure, he is proud, but yet his pride becomes him, something like that. So bear that in mind. Really, really important to remember. And she asks that question, a couple of questions in this already. Must you therefore be proud and pitiless? Like, you're not very attractive, so why are you being proud? And on top of that, not giving him any pity. Let Phoebe think on that. She doesn't answer back. Remember, she marvels why I answer not again. She marvels in this. Why do you look at, why? What means this? Why do you look on me? 2 more questions. Why? What means this? And again, this. Phoebe's odd behavior. Lovely written direction there. Phoebe has to be doing something slightly unusual to be, but that being said, it can just be staring at Ganymede in amazement or wonder. If anything, I'd say it'd be more wonder rather than flirting. But maybe it is that. I don't know. It's up to you as the actor to decide what your Phoebe is doing. Why do you look on me? I imagine, if anything, she's looking up and down at you, maybe. Why do you look on me? Why do you look all over me? That's what I get from there. And then she doesn't have the realization straight away. So this is another thing, the detail. Rosalind is asking a question. What means this? Why do you look on me? Look, I see no more in you than, I see no more in you than in an ordinary of nature's sail work. And then the realization comes in. So get specific with your reactions. I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work. What does that mean? Really interesting. Let's have a little look. I see no more in you. And again, she's already said that. I see no more in you. So repetition, bear that in mind. I see no more in you. She doesn't say, I see in you the ordinary. She says, I see no more in you. Strange. Than in the ordinary of nature's sail work. Let's look it up now together. Sail work. What is that? Oh, I've looked up images of dark now. You see how tricky it is to get into it, but also how exciting it is and freeing. Of course, so sale of goods and handicrafts made by the members of a club, church, congregation to raise money. Sale work. And I like this, actually. What's the other bit of work? Nature's sail work. So let's just define nature quickly as well, because we are going to be able to get through this. I'm sure it'll be fine. The physical world collectively. Essential qualities of character or of a person or of an animal. Nature, in its broadest sense, is the physical world or universe. Right, so she's talking about nature now. Remember, nature for us as human beings really is to eat, sleep, procreate, and keep the generations going, keep us from dying out of extinction, okay? I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work. So nature can be a very phenomenal thing, right? Have you ever seen David Attenborough? He shows us not only the mundane, but the phenomenal of nature. We see the amazing animals. We see, tornado chasers show us the extreme of nature. Rosalind isn't talking about the extreme of nature and the spectacle of nature. She's talking about the ordinary of nature's transactions. Basic. I see no more in you than the most basic level of nature. And again, remember back in the time, I think when describing a woman's beauty, as was often the case, they would say nature has been kind to you. You've been blessed with good looks. You've been blessed with the beauty of nature. And again, going back to Shakespeare's work, and indeed any work of the time, if you were expressing your love for someone, you'd often use nature as a stimulus. We didn't have filters or loads of pretty items you can buy at the pound shop. Remember that fabric would have been a dull color unless you were wealthy enough to buy bright colors, okay, and wear jewels and gems. And that's another thing, jewels and gems are still made by nature. These are beautiful things that people would use as a simile to express the beauty of something. Roses is a big one. Flowers. Shakespeare does a lot of flower and nature comparisons in his work, and he's doing it here, but in an opposite way, in an insulting way. I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work. Ordinary is the key word here. I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work, in the transactions of nature, the basic level of moving forward. You know, and again, that's quite an insult. I think she's talking about procreation here, and romance, and, you know, you are not extraordinary, love. And that's another useful thing to do. If you're struggling with a bit, try and put in the opposite of the word. So, for example, if she said, I see no more in you than in the extraordinary of nature's sail work, that would change it completely, right? Or I see no less in you than in the extraordinary of nature's sail work. That would be a compliment. So again, you can slot in and translate and put in the opposition to help you figure out what it does mean. And then we've got the realization, odds my little life. And I do think that's an exclamation there. And at the end of the sentence, there is an exclamation mark. Use them well. I think she means to tangle my eyes too. And again, tangle, mess up, entwine. I think she means to entwine my eyes too. Tangle, get me wrapped up. And again, remember the audience are the unwritten characters in all of Shakespeare's plays. Maybe that bit is for them. Odds my little life. I think she means to tangle my eyes too. Oh my God. Oh my God. I think she means to enwrapped me in her beauty as well. And then she straight away says, no, faith, proud mistress, hope not after it. No, faith. Let's just quickly look up faith. What time are we on? Yeah, okay, we got time. I think it's a bit like please, really. Complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Strong belief in God. Strongly held belief or theory. And I think it's like, if you have faith in something, you believe in something, right? So it's like, it's not please, but no. Believe. Imagine she's saying that, no, believe, proud mistress, you've got no chance. That's how I kind of put that in my eyes. No, faith, like have faith, proud mistress, hope not after it. And then she goes on to kind of list her and insult her a little bit. She lists the things, but we could cut those out. We could cut out inky brows, black silk hair, eyeballs and cheek, and jump straight to that can entain my spirits to your worship. No, faith, proud mistress, hope not after it, that can entain my spirits to your worship. Maybe not, but hope not after it. Tis not you that can entain my spirits to your worship. So the parentheses, if they were there, would be slightly later on, I think. Hope not after it. Tis not you that can entain my spirits to your worship. You cannot entame. Again, if you tame something, you draw it in, you control it really. And worship. So we've got faith and worship there at the end of this chunk of text. You cannot draw me in to your worship. Please have faith that that is not going to happen. Ooh, harsh. So no faith, proud mistress. A mistress as well, I think we think of a mistress being like a woman sleeping with a married man. His mistress did that. It didn't have that connotation as much. If someone was a mistress, they were just like a woman. I mean, look it up, please. There's definitely connotations there of the time, but I won't go into them now. It was a way of address as opposed to what we have on it. So always remember what we have on it today and know that most of your audience will think of that when it's said, but you still need to understand the context and the way it was said back in the day. Hope not after it. 'Tis not your inky brows. And she doesn't just say it's not your brows or your hair or your eyes or your cheek. She goes into detail. 'Tis not your inky brows, your black silk hair, your bugle eyeballs. And again, eyeballs. We never say eyeballs usually in a romantic situation. It's your eyes. Even Phoebe calls them eyes and calls them the frailest and softest things. And yet here's Rosalind calling it a bugle eyeball. It's not a nice way to describe it, is it? Nor your cheek of cream that can entame my spirits to your worship. Full stop. Then she goes to Sylvius, okay? So bear all of that in mind. Any questions, let me know. I feel like I'm really whizzing over this one and I'm not going into as much detail, but hey ho. You foolish shepherd, wherefore do you follow her? And remember, wherefore means why, but it's 2 syllables. So make sure you hit that right and pitch it right. Wherefore do you follow her? Why do you follow her? Like foggy south. Again, north and south. South is bad, north is good. Heaven and hell. Think of all the connotations of what you think of when you think of south. And it's foggy south. It's not sunny south. Why do you follow her like foggy south, puffing with wind and rain? It's a question. He doesn't answer you. Spell it out for him. You are 1,000 times a properer a man than she a woman. Full stop. 'Tis such fools as you that makes the world full of ill-favoured children. Look at the F's there. 'Tis such fools as you that makes the world full of ill-favoured children. Lots of lovely dark L's, lots of lovely F's. Use them. Have fun with it. Fools. It's a great line. Such a great line. It's idiots like you that make more idiots in the world. I feel very passionately about that speech, that quote. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her. Glass means mirror. See all these little things. Glass. Now you know any Shakespeare play that mentions a glass, it means mirror. It doesn't mean a drinking glass. Do you think they would have been drinking out of drinking glasses back in those days? No, they drank out of metal goblets because they wouldn't break. If they had plastic in those days, it would have been plastic. So again, do your homework and your history. Have an awareness about how they would have lived back in the day. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her. She's got all this in her head because of you. She thinks she can behave like this because you just flatter her all the time. And then we got a semicolon. She goes on, and out of you she sees herself more proper than any of her lineaments can show her. She's deluded. And then she comes back to Phoebe, but mistress, and it's odd she's using these terms, mistress, a bit of respect in there maybe, to address her, and then slagging her off pretty much. So again, I think she's being semi-respectful here. But mistress, know yourself. There's a religious know thyself. I don't think that's anything relevant, but it's still worth knowing. But mistress, know yourself, know who you are. This is what I say to my acting students all the time. But mistress, know yourself, know who you are. Watch that video if you haven't seen it on my channel. It's very important. Down on your knees and thank heaven, fasting for a good man's love. Fasting as well. We think of fasting now for weight loss, or even though it's the main reason people lose weight when they're fasting because they lower their calorie intake. It's nothing to do with the fact that the gut is replenished or anything. But I know it's useful medically to fast, and sometimes before certain operations you have to fast. It was a religious thing back in those days. If you'd sinned or something, you would fast to purify yourself, to cleanse yourself. And it would be either a I'm going to butcher this, I don't really know it too well, but some religions do fast, right? I won't speculate because I don't know full enough, but if you know anything about that, please comment it. It was a way to show respect to your Lord, wasn't it? And show the sacrifice and remember their sacrifice that they gave you. So she's saying here, get on your knees and pray. Make sure you've fasted as well, like really mean it and do some work on this, Phoebe. And pray for a good man's love. A good man. Sylvius is a good man. We're seeing this. Maybe, I don't know, questionable. For I must tell you friendly in your ear, sell when you can. You are not for all markets. And this is coming back to the sell thing, and then I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sale work, right? it was like sales back then, and it still is. In fact, it really does bother me, this whole like sales is a dirty word thing. We sell all the time. When we go on a date, we're selling ourselves. When we go to work, we're selling our time in exchange for money. It's not just a monetary value thing. We sell everything. I'm selling Shakespeare to you right now. You're selling me your time because you're listening to me. Maybe not that, but you know, there's always transactions. When we think of it like that, that's kind of what she's talking about here. The selling of us, of each other to the other people, the marketplace that is dating and relationships. That's what she's talking about here. Sell when you can. Be bought when you can. Not everyone is going to like you. You're not for all types and appetites. So interesting, I brought up advertising and marketing as well with the whole candle going to bed. It was a lot purer back then. There was a lot less of that. Remember that. Bear that in mind. Cry the man mercy. Love him. Take his offer. Foul is most foul, being foul to be a scoffer. So take her to thee, shepherd, fare you well. Fare thee well. Fare you well. Oh, I nearly spilt my drink. Excellent. So we're going to look up, obviously, foul, and we're going to look up scoffer. So I think people whiz over this bit because they don't actually get it. Again, so let's explain it. Foul, offensive to the senses. Wicked or immoral. A disease, dirty, polluted. And remember, all of these things were massive insults in those days. If you were polluted and immoral, carries a lot more weight in our Western society these days as it did back then. Obviously, you know, different things in so much going on in the world at the minute, but you know, different cultures have different approaches to this sort of thing. But if you were polluted and immoral, you could be disowned by your family. You could be disowned by your government. Side note, actually, and I know if Rodney and Ernest watch this back, you might be interested. There's a good program on Netflix called How to Be a Tyrant, and it's really eye-opening, actually. I think some of the facts might be a little bit blurred because my partner's done a lot of Hitler research, and I think some of the bits are a bit inaccurate. But still, it's really, really interesting. And I think we need to remember that these things existed, but also back in the day, religion and fear-mongering was definitely used all the time to control the masses. And it still is today, as we're seeing, right? So although this isn't about that as much, it kind of is. Just bear that in mind. I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah. I feel like I had more of a point to make on that, but I'll think about it. So foul, we've discovered what that means. And scoffer, we don't usually use that word, but now I would say if we scoff something, you just shove it in and eat it. A person who mocks or makes fun of something or someone, often of religion or moral values. Right, so we've established that foul was specifically a word used to describe immorals. And now scoffer, to be a scoffer, means that you're making fun. You're being, what's the word? What is the word? Anti-religion, that word. I know someone will know what it is. Blasphemy, you're being blasphemous. We need courage when facing scoffers who jeer at our faith and make ironic comments about it. And in the Bible, it actually has just come up, in the Bible, scoffers are those who choose to disbelieve God and his word. So you could say an atheist is a scoffer. Someone who scoffs, well, that kind of thing. Interesting. But you see how, that's why I was getting onto the whole tyrant thing, actually. She's using, there's religious connotations here, praise, worship, all this sort of stuff. And if you're a scoffer and you scoff at the ideals of something, it's a bad thing. They're trying to paint out like it's a bad thing. And here, Rosalind is doing that. She's reinforcing that idea. Foul is most foul. So there's lots of repetition in there. Make sure you're repeating the right bit. Foul is most disgusting. Being foul to be a scoffer. Being immoral to be a blasphemer, kind of. And there's a full stop there. Foul is at its worst when you are being foul to scoff at things, to mock things. And that's exactly what Phoebe has been doing. She has been mocking, especially in the last speech. Now, counterfeit to swoon. Fall down then. Show me how my eyes are hurting you. Literally, that is what she's doing. So that is what she's saying here. Okay? Being foul to be a scoffer. Someone who scoffs at someone's beliefs is the worst of the worst. Okay? So bear that in mind. Foul is most foul. Being foul, to be a scoffer. That word carries a lot more weight than it does today. So make sure you give it that respect and the honor it deserves when you use it. So take her to thee, shepherd, fare you well. And then she leaves it. And then Phoebe doesn't want him to go. Lovely. So let's have a little quick read of it again. I made you the lens Phoebe earlier, and that's absolutely the wrong thing to do in my mind's eye. There is no right or wrong, but it's best, I think, if we have Phoebe here and maybe Sylvius behind her or Sylvius the other side. So I'm going to try that now. As always, I didn't say this at the beginning, I don't learn these. I mean, I know some of them pretty well, but for the sake of this, I want to show you me messing it up and reading it off the page, because Shakespeare isn't this thing that you either get or don't get. It takes work, and I want you to see that I'm doing that work in understanding it with you. I'm not just showing you my acting and perfecting it and showing you how it should be done. There are 1,000 ways every character and every word could be done. So bear that in mind. Hi, Rodney. Good to see you. So I'm just going to read it. I'm just about to do the read through because I've got to go shortly. And yeah, have a little watch back of this one. I'd love to know what you think. So we're going to go from Rosalind and why I pray you. And remember what Phoebe's just said. She's told Sylvius that she will not pity him. And Rosalind says, and why? I pray you. Who may be your mother that you insult? Oh, I'm doing it at the lens again. Let me come over here. Phoebe just says, I will not pity him. Rosalind says, advancing. And why, I pray you? Who may be your mother that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched? What though you have no beauty, as by my faith, I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. Must you be therefore proud and pitiless? Why? What means this? Why do you look on me? I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's sail work. Odds my little life. I think she means to tangle my eyes too. No, faith. Proud mistress, hope not after it. 'Tis not your inky brow, your black silk hair, your bugle eyeballs, nor your cheek of cream that can entame my spirits to your worship. Oh, you foolish shepherd. Wherefore do you follow her, like foggy south, puffing with wind and rain? You are 1,000 times a properer a man than she a woman. 'Tis such fools as you that makes the world full of ill-favoured children. 'Tis not her glass but you that flatters her, and out of you she sees herself more proper than any of her lineaments can show her. But mistress, I've lost it, here we go. But mistress, know yourself. I've lost it again. But mistress, know yourself. Down on your knees and thank heaven, fasting for a good man's love. For I must tell you friendly in your ear, sell when you can. You are not for all markets. Cry the man mercy. Love him. Take his offer. Foul is most foul, being foul to be a scoffer. So take her to thee, shepherd. Fare you well. So totally butchered it, but you see how I'm doing it. And also just something to say, because I saw my student doing this earlier, if you do mess up the lines, try and stay in the right energy. Try not to beat yourself up over it. I definitely did it a few times at the start, but when you kind of go, oh no, I've got it wrong, and all of that sort of thing, it just breaks everything. And a good thing to do, even when I was singing then, like, ba 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 ba, I was still staying positive and in the zone, kind of. So just practice doing that, because it will make all of your acting choices. Or if you're practicing for a public speaking thing, again, try not to do the whole, oh God, I'm an idiot. It's self-deprecating and doesn't help you be better. It's a punishment, and you don't need to do that to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You're being vulnerable as an actor and as a performer or as a speaker. So there you go. Lovely to see you for a few moments, Rodney. Have a lovely day. I've got to hop on another call now. Really good to see you all, and I will see you soon for the next one, where we will be looking at the rest of the scene and the next Phoebe speech. It will not probably be the main one. We'll probably look at the dialogue, actually, and she's got a nice chunk as well that we can tuck into. So I will see you then. Bye, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your weekend.